Welcome to The Explainer, where we turn big ideas into clear action. AI can feel, well, pretty overwhelming. So today, we're going to break down how your team can stop just reacting to it and actually start using it to reinvent how you work right from the ground up. Okay, so let's get right into it. Think about past tech rollouts. They were kind of like getting a prefabricated home, right? A clear blueprint, a manual, you were just told how to use the tools. Well, AI is a whole different ballgame. There's no instruction manual here. We're all making these little micro decisions all day long about how to actually use this stuff. It really is like building the plane while you're flying it. And that means the real innovation, it has to come from the bottom up, from the teams doing the work. And look, let's be honest, that level of uncertainty, it's daunting. The pace of change is it's intense. And it makes it so tempting to just sit back and say, you know what? I'm just going to wait and see how this all shakes out. But the thing is, the risks of not jumping in, of not engaging with this new reality, they're huge. And they're happening right now. So what's the actual cost? I mean, what really happens to teams if they just decide not to experiment, not to start learning and adapting right now? What if you just stick to the old ways of working while the world completely changes around you? Well, a few things happen, and none of them are good. First off, you get this really dangerous divide on your team, an in-group of people using the tools and an out-group of people who aren't. That creates friction. It also completely stifles the innovation you need just to stay relevant, and it builds a culture that's actually resistant to change. And maybe the biggest one, if leadership isn't modeling this new way of working, they risk losing all their credibility. And once that happens, you lose the trust of your team. So what's the takeaway here? It's that to get through this, to really navigate this new world, we need to develop a brand new core skill, a competency that, for a lot of organizations, just hasn't really been in their DNA before. And that skill is experimentation. Look, the key here is not about getting everything perfect on the first try. Not at all. It's about creating a safe space, an environment where it's okay to fail, because failure is just part of learning. It's about your team being able to try things, see what happens, learn from it, and adopt together, all without judgment. Dr. Michelle Caryn Paul puts this so perfectly. She talks about the opportunity here. The real transformation starts when we stop looking at AI as some kind of threat and we start seeing it as a way to hand off all that repetitive, routine work, what she calls the icky stuff, that, let's be real, machines are just better at doing anyway. Here's a great example. Picture a worker at a food bank. Their day is just completely eaten up by asking the same 40 intake questions over and over and over again. That is a perfect job for a machine. You automate that, and suddenly that person, that human, is freed up to do the things that really matter, the high-impact stuff, like actually getting out into the community and delivering food. That's the shift we're talking about. Okay, so this all sounds good, but how do we actually do it? Well, this all builds into a really practical playbook your team can start using today. And the best part? It's not about adding some massive new project to your already full plate. It's a simple 3-step process. And each step is designed as just a 20-minute exercise that you can slot right into your regular team meetings. This is how you turn all this big picture talk into real, concrete action, one conversation at a time. So, part 1 is analyze. Here's what you do. The whole team gets together and basically maps out all its major tasks. You figure out which ones are good candidates for AI, and then, this is the most important part, you pick just one low-risk process to experiment with. Just one. That's it. Keep it small and safe to start. Okay, then in your next meeting, you move on to part 2, redesign. This is where you get into the nitty-gritty of your team's internal processes. You ask questions like, okay, how do our team norms need to change now? And what do the new handoffs between a person and this AI tool actually look like? Getting clear on this stuff is absolutely crucial if you want things to run smoothly. And finally, part 3 is reinvest. This is the fun part. The team gets together and brainstorms. What are we going to do with all this time we're getting back? See, this isn't just about being more efficient. It's about building a real business case for creating new kinds of value, the stuff you just never had the time or the bandwidth to even think about before. And this brings us right back to that food bank example, right? Using this model, the time they were spending on all that repetitive intake just plummeted. So what did they do with all that freed up time? They were able to dramatically increase their direct community outreach. That is the real ROI. It's not just about the hours you save, it's about the new impact you create. You see how this works?
This whole process completely reframes AI. It stops being this big, scary disruptor and instead becomes, well, a valuable new member of your team. So let's talk about what that actually looks like in practice. How can you start thinking about AI as a teammate, like right now?
There are two really easy ways to start right away. Think of AI in two key roles. First, as a workflow partner. This is the AI that takes on all those structured, logic-based tasks in a process. And second, think of it as a brainstorm partner. This is the AI you can, metaphorically invite to any meeting to help generate new ideas or even act as a critical thinking partner to challenge your team's assumptions. Look, this shift is already happening. It's not a future thing, and this approach gives you a playbook to actually lead it instead of just reacting to it. So the real question for you and your team isn't if an AI is going to join your team, it's how you're going to prepare for your new teammate. And that, really, is the most important thing to take away from all this.